Hi, I'm Christine Brown Woolley, author and narrator of Sister Wife. My book is going to be coming out so soon. I'm so excited.
It started with a slamming sound so loud, one producer thought a light fixture had fallen. But it wasn't the ceiling crashing down, it was Cody. According to multiple sources close to the production, he had just stormed into the kitchen, gripping a printed copy of Christine's upcoming memoir. The manuscript, not yet finalized, had been leaked to him through what insiders are calling a family backchannel, and the words on page 47 sent him into what one crew member described as a red-faced rage spiral. At the center of it all, a sentence that may go down as the most explosive line in Sister Wives history: "Polygamy, as I lived it, was built on lies." That one phrase, 11 words, was enough to crack whatever illusion of control Cody still thought he had over Christine's narrative. And from what insiders say, this wasn't just about a bruised ego. This was about legacy, reputation, and the very foundation the Brown family spent over a decade selling to the world.
Christine's book is set to be released in September of this year, and there's been a lot of speculation as to what exactly Christine will be talking about in this book titled Sister Wife.
He didn't just yell, he exploded. Reportedly pacing the kitchen barefoot, hair askew, Cody was heard shouting that Christine had crossed the line, slandered our lifestyle, and undermined everything we built with TLC. According to one PA on set that day, he even accused her of playing right into the hands of anti-polygamists. Cameras were quickly turned off, or so they thought, but some crew members allegedly kept audio rolling on hidden recorders. Not out of spite, but because what was unfolding was so volatile, so raw, they worried it could turn into a lawsuit minefield later. That's how far this eruption went, and all of it over a single paragraph. Christine didn't even post publicly, just a casual draft reading caught in a behind-the-scenes clip shared with her fans. And here's where it gets even messier. The confrontation didn't happen in private. Robin was there. So was a shocked production assistant who had just handed Cody a bowl of cereal minutes earlier. Insiders say that as soon as Cody started screaming about misrepresenting the family, Robin tried to calm him, saying Christine was just processing her truth. But that only made it worse. Cody reportedly slammed the papers on the marble counter and barked, "Her truth? She's making it sound like I was running a cult." The energy, one witness said, was like a pot boiling over with the lid sealed tight until it blows. It wasn't just about a sentence anymore. It was about the implication behind it, that everything Christine endured, everything the audience witnessed over 16 seasons, might have been framed in a way that no longer served the patriarch's version of events. And that damning paragraph, the one that started it all, it didn't just call out the system. According to insiders who've read the draft, it draws a direct line between Cody's actions and the emotional erosion of every wife in the family. It doesn't read like a revenge tell-all, it reads like a reckoning. But this was only the beginning, because while Cody was unraveling over 11 words, fans were about to see exactly why Christine had every reason to write them.
The camera crew followed Cody that day too. He rushed home to Robin.
It started as a soft flicker, a cozy little video Christine posted on Instagram, all smiles and sunshine, flipping through the fresh pages of her memoir like a proud new author. But within 24 hours, that flicker turned into a full-blown fan inferno. Because in the middle of that feel-good clip, eagle-eyed followers caught a glimpse of a paragraph that lit up the internet like a Christmas tree on fire. It wasn't a staged reveal. Christine hadn't meant to spill anything major, but the angle of the page, the slow scan of the camera, and the unmistakable wording sparked immediate outrage. What viewers saw was raw and devastating. A first-hand account of the night she went into labor with, truly, and the moment Cody walked away. Not metaphorically, physically. As in, he literally left her while she was in labor to check on Robin. The internet didn't take long to catch up. By the next morning, thousands of fans had freeze-framed the footage, enlarged the paragraph, and circled the sentence that ripped the band-aid off a years-old wound. While I labored alone, he went to her house, not to bring a child, not for any emergency, just to be with her.
Christine Brown, the first of Cody's wives to leave him, will also be the first wife to be releasing a memoir.
It was never confirmed who exactly that her was, but everyone knew, and they weren't having it. The fan pages went into overdrive. Facebook groups with names like Justice for Christine and Truly Deserved Better doubled in size overnight. TikTok sleuths spliced old TLC clips with new theories, pointing out that back in season 1, Cody said he needed to change clothes before heading to the hospital. Yet somehow that detour just so happened to take him to Robin's doorstep. He changed all right. One viral comment said, "He changed wives." Another added, "Robin got the kisses. Christine got contractions." It was brutal. It was emotional. And it resonated. For many longtime viewers, this wasn't just reality TV drama anymore. This was a betrayal that now had receipts. The line from Christine's book didn't need extra flourish. It was the kind of quiet devastation that didn't scream. It whispered, then hit you like a punch in the gut. And what made it worse? The memory wasn't new. Fans had always suspected something was off during that birth episode. The timeline didn't quite add up. The energy felt wrong. But now, with Christine finally confirming it, whether intentionally or not, every uneasy feeling was suddenly validated, and the fury wasn't just directed at Cody. A whole new wave of questions rolled in for TLC. Did they know? Did they edit around it? Was there unaired footage of Cody sneaking off to Robin's while Christine was dilated and in pain? Rumors began swirling that crew members from the early seasons had seen it all and were told to cut, crop, and keep quiet. And Christine's accidental book leak may have just blown the lid off. But even that wasn't the full picture, because the kiss that allegedly happened while Christine was pushing out their child, that bombshell hadn't even dropped yet. According to insiders who worked on the early seasons, the kiss wasn't just a rumor whispered behind closed doors, it was caught on tape. And allegedly, it didn't happen at some vague, innocent moment. It happened while Christine was still in labor.
He needed to check in on, I don't know, the kids, her feelings about my labor.
In the unearthed timeline, fans are now obsessively stitching together. Cody had left the hospital under the flimsy excuse that he needed to change clothes before returning. But sources close to the crew now claim he made an unscheduled stop at Robin's home, not for an emergency, not to retrieve anything, but to walk with her outside, in the dark, where the cameras couldn't easily follow. And that's when it allegedly happened. A quiet moment on the porch, a kiss he didn't want filmed, and a girlfriend he couldn't seem to stay away from, even as his wife was preparing to bring their 13th child into the world. And it gets worse. Cody didn't deny it. According to Christine's early draft, which was read by multiple publishing insiders, he admitted the kiss years later during an argument, saying he didn't mean anything by it and that it was just a moment. But Christine never forgot it. And neither did the audience, apparently, because once that paragraph started circulating online, fan memories sharpened like knives. One TikTok creator pulled up the original labor scene from season 1 and played it side by side with Robin's oddly timed talking head interview where she looked nervous, vague, and according to some, guilty. "This is her lying face," one commenter wrote, pointing to a moment where Robin fiddles with her necklace and avoids eye contact. She knew. Viewers are now demanding to know whether TLC actively buried the footage, and rumor has it, they just might have. According to one crew member who allegedly worked on post-production at the time, there were multiple scenes captured during the early hours of Truly's labor, including footage of Cody arriving at Robin's house and instructing camera operators to cut it here. One source even claims he was heard saying he didn't want a scandal while Christine is on the table. Think about that for a second. He knew how bad it looked. And instead of stopping himself, he simply told the cameras to stop rolling. Whether the footage still exists is unclear, but fans are convinced there's more to the story than was ever aired. And with Christine now peeling back layers in her memoir, even accidentally, the old wounds are being ripped wide open.
Oh my gosh!
It's not just the betrayal of one wife at one dramatic moment. It's the pattern, the favoritism, the emotional sleight of hand, the way Robin always seemed to show up at the most sensitive points in the other wives' stories, never directly, but always hovering, always present. And now, that kiss might become the symbol of everything Christine's book is trying to dismantle. Not just the moment she was left alone in pain, but the moment the audience realized Cody wasn't trying to lead a plural family anymore. He was already choosing his future. And Christine, she was just supposed to smile through it. Until now. After the porch kiss rumors reignited, things reportedly escalated behind the scenes, and fast. By the end of that same week, insiders say Cody was already on the phone with lawyers, desperate to stop Christine's book from hitting shelves in its current form. He wanted it pulled or heavily edited, one source close to the situation revealed. He said it was defamatory, damaging, and painted him as a heartless narcissist. But here's the catch. He hadn't even seen the final manuscript. What he had was a leaked draft, passed to him through what some believe may have been a sympathetic relative or even someone from Robin's circle. And that leak, even in partial form, was enough to push him into full damage control mode. Allegedly, Cody demanded a meeting with the publishing house. He wanted an immediate review of the content and reportedly insisted they either pull the chapter or prepare to be sued. But legal experts say that's not how this works. Christine's memoir is protected under free speech as long as she's recounting her personal experiences and not making provably false statements. And here's where things got even stickier for Cody. According to publishing insiders, Christine already received a sizable advance for the book. Any changes this late in the process would cost the publisher tens of thousands in layout, print delays, and marketing disruption. So unless Cody could present hard proof that Christine fabricated the claims, the chances of a rewrite were slim to none. And Christine, by all accounts, wasn't backing down. Friends say she's prepared for the blowback and has been advised to expect threats, press statements, and possibly even legal posturing in the weeks leading up to publication. But according to those close to her, Christine isn't afraid of Kody's outrage anymore. That hold he had on her? It's broken, one insider said. He used to scare her with the idea of splitting the family, of being cut off. But now she's thriving. She's got love, she's got freedom, and she's got receipts. Still, that hasn't stopped Kody from trying to launch a counterattack. Sources say he's been floating the idea of releasing his own video response on social media. An open letter to fans, as one alleged draft called it, where he'd share his side of the story. But those close to the production team are worried that might backfire spectacularly. He thinks people still see him as the wounded husband, one source claimed. But the tide turned years ago, and if he tries to spin this, especially with that kiss in the mix, it's only going to get worse. The question now is not whether Kody can stop the book, it's how much he'll unravel before it drops. Because if this is his reaction to a draft, insiders say the finished manuscript has even bigger bombshells. And Christine, for the first time in her adult life, isn't pulling any punches. She's not hiding the hurt. She's finally telling the truth, even if it costs him everything. The line that broke Kody wasn't just about the kiss or even the labor. It was about the foundation. That one sentence, polygamy, as I lived it, was built on lies, didn't just critique the lifestyle. It dismantled it. It was a wrecking ball through the very myth the Brown family had spent over a decade carefully propping up with talking heads, birthday montages, and strategic family dinners. And when that quote surfaced in Christine's book draft, sources say Kody lost whatever illusion he had that he could still control the narrative. Insiders familiar with the manuscript say Christine doesn't just question the structure of plural marriage, she calls it out plainly, boldly, emotionally. She allegedly compares it to a stacked deck, where only one player, the husband, ever has a full hand. She writes about the way emotional loyalty was demanded but rarely returned, about how choice was the word they all clung to, while quietly choking on the expectations that came with it. And in one particularly powerful passage, Christine reportedly reveals that by the time she left, she wasn't just walking away from Kody, she was walking away from a belief system that had kept her feeling small since she was a teenager. Sources claim she calls polygamy a performance with rotating wives and one permanent lead, and even compares it to a romantic pyramid scheme. That line, allegedly buried in Chapter 12, has publishing insiders buzzing with anticipation and network executives breaking into a sweat. Because once viewers start applying that metaphor to what they've seen on TLC for 16 seasons, it's game over for the illusion of happy pluralism. And if you think Kody took that lying down, think again. After hearing about the pyramid scheme line, sources say he erupted once again, telling people close to him that Christine was brainwashed by monogamists and turning her back on her spiritual legacy. But the truth? It might be even simpler. Christine, for the first time, is seeing the system from the outside, and she's not romanticizing it anymore. In private, insiders say she struggled with the decision to go public. She feared backlash from members of her former faith community, worried she'd be painted as bitter, disloyal, or even dangerous. But ultimately, the pain outweighed the pressure to stay silent. According to a close friend, Christine told them, "If I'm going to say I found peace, I have to show people what I survived first." And now, that survival story is being bound, printed, and mailed across the country. Meanwhile, Kody is still clinging to the idea that this is a betrayal, not a reckoning. He reportedly told someone on set, "She's making me the villain in her little escape story." But that's the thing, isn't it? Christine never said he was a villain. She said the system was, and when that system was exposed, the man who benefited most from it couldn't take the heat. And something tells us the fire's only just started. If there's one chapter in Christine's upcoming book that's already rattling cages beyond the Brown household, it's the one that revisits the family's now infamous lawsuit against the state of Utah, a lawsuit they initially celebrated as a win for plural families, but which, in hindsight, Christine allegedly sees as a costly mistake. For years, the Brown family positioned themselves as brave advocates for decriminalizing polygamy. They even took their case all the way to federal court, arguing that their lifestyle should be protected under religious freedom. But according to publishing insiders familiar with her draft, Christine is now pulling back the curtain on what really happened behind the scenes, and it's not flattering. In the memoir, she allegedly reflects on the court battle with startling candor, suggesting she was never fully on board with becoming a public face for a fight she didn't even believe in. "We were used," she reportedly writes, "used by producers, used by lawyers, used by Kody." That sentence alone has already raised eyebrows among those who followed the legal saga closely. And Christine doesn't stop there. Sources say she draws a direct line between the lawsuit and the rise of predators who took advantage of the relaxed laws in Utah. Predators who operated under the same religious umbrella but committed acts Christine now says should have never been protected. This is where it gets deeply uncomfortable. According to early readers, Christine devotes a section to the unintended fallout of the lawsuit, how it may have emboldened other sects to come out of hiding, and in doing so gave cover to some of the darkest crimes occurring behind closed doors. She doesn't name names, but insiders say she alludes to groups like the FLDS and leaders like Samuel Bateman, who was arrested for marrying underage girls while hiding behind the shield of religious freedom. Christine allegedly writes that we were fighting for dignity, but they used our fight to disappear into the shadows. Even more jarring is her reported admission that she regrets ever standing on the Utah State Capitol steps. At the time, she thought she was helping to change hearts and minds, but now, insiders say she's questioning whether the show and the lawsuit together did more to romanticize polygamy than to expose its dangers. "We told the world it was safe," she allegedly writes, "but for too many girls, it wasn't." And then comes the twist no one saw coming. Christine apparently shares that she tried to distance herself from the legal team halfway through the case, but was convinced to stay quiet for the sake of the show. If true, that revelation could send shockwaves through TLC's corporate offices, because it hints at an entire strategy crafted not around justice or liberation, but around ratings. The fan reaction to these leaks has already started to boil. Across Reddit, TikTok, and Facebook, women are posting comments like, "She was silenced back then, but not anymore." Christine's voice is no longer scripted, no longer filtered. And with this book, she's not just challenging Cody, she's challenging the very narrative that once defined her. Just when readers think they understand Christine's evolution, her memoir allegedly takes a sharp, haunting turn straight into her family's blood-stained past. For years, Sister Wives fans knew Christine came from a prominent polygamist lineage, but few grasped just how entangled her roots were with the darkest chapters of fundamentalist Mormon history. And now, according to those who've previewed the manuscript, Christine is ready to go there, to name it, to trace the fear she grew up with not just to doctrine, but to murder. The name Rulon Allred doesn't come up often in Sister Wives, but in Christine's world, he was more than a historical figure. He was her grandfather, a leader of the Apostolic United Brethren, AOB, the very group the Browns belonged to before their fame. Rulon was murdered in broad daylight in the 1970s by a woman sent by rival prophet Ervil LeBaron, whose cult-like splinter group believed Rulon was a false prophet who needed to be atoned. It was a hit ordered in the name of religious righteousness, and Christine, then just a small child, allegedly grew up with the echo of that act vibrating through every hallway of her life. Insiders say the memoir recounts hushed conversations, frightened glances, and family members who told her to keep certain names to herself. She allegedly writes about the quiet panic in her mother's voice when the news of Rulon's death broke, and the sudden shift in her community, how neighbors became watchful, how leaders grew more controlling, and how fear became obedience. She reportedly links this atmosphere directly to her own childhood conditioning, the way she was taught to believe that compliance meant survival, and that asking questions could get you or someone you love hurt. But what Christine allegedly hints at next is even more disturbing, the unspoken shame that still lingers. She writes, according to one source, that even within her own family, people tried to sanitize the past. They wanted her to focus on Rulon as a spiritual leader, not as a casualty of a war between rival prophets. But Christine couldn't forget that her grandfather was assassinated for the same ideology that later justified her own suffering. In one reported line, she writes, "I was born from bloodshed, and for a long time I thought that made me sacred, but it only made me silent." That sentence, chilling as it is, has been described as one of the most powerful moments in the entire book, because it reframes Christine's life not just as one of escape from Cody, but as a generational unraveling, a long overdue break in the cycle of control, secrecy, and religious entrapment. Fans have already started digging deeper into her genealogy, and once this section goes public, there's no doubt headlines will follow. It's not every day that a reality star lifts the veil on cult history and places herself at the center of it, but Christine isn't hiding anymore, not from Cody, not from the church, and certainly not from the truth. If Christine's childhood was shaped by the shadows of a violent past, her adulthood was defined by a much quieter but no less heartbreaking betrayal, being left behind in her most vulnerable moment. While the world tuned into Sister Wives for the chaos of plural marriage, what most didn't see, or perhaps didn't want to see, was the profound loneliness woven into Christine's final years with Cody. And nowhere was that loneliness more painfully obvious than during the birth of their daughter. Truly, according to sources who've read the full memoir, Christine's retelling of that experience is not just a gut punch, it's a reckoning. Because while she was laboring, in pain, and frightened, Cody was reportedly packing his bags for a honeymoon. The timeline is damning. Christine had just given birth. She was recovering, bleeding, nursing, and caring for a newborn. And Cody, according to the draft, was already preparing to leave town for 11 days with Robin. He had a new wife and a new life, Christine reportedly writes, and we were no longer part of it. It's a sentiment that will likely resonate with thousands of women, those who have felt discarded after childbirth, emotionally abandoned while caring for a new baby, or left to carry the weight of parenting while their partner moved on. And Christine doesn't sugarcoat any of it. She allegedly details the fog of exhaustion, the sting of stitches, the empty nights waiting for a knock that never came. Insiders claim she even includes specific dates, airline records, and emotional journal entries that track Cody's absence and the deafening silence that followed. He didn't call, she allegedly writes, not even to ask how Truly was doing. It wasn't just emotional neglect, it was a choice, a declaration in action of who mattered most, and it wasn't the woman who had just brought his child into the world. The backlash to this section is expected to be fierce. Fans who long suspected Cody's favoritism toward Robin are now watching those suspicions crystallize into cold, hard narrative. And if Christine really does include travel receipts as rumored, there may be no way to spin it. According to early readers, she stopped short of outright condemning Cody, but her words speak volumes. She paints a picture not of a shared marriage, but of a man already gone, even as he pretended to still be present. Even TLC seems nervous. A production source reportedly admitted that while Cody's honeymoon was known at the time, the actual overlap with Christine's recovery was minimized in editing. The question now is whether the network allowed that narrative because it made for better television or because it protected a carefully curated image of a husband juggling love and duty. Either way, Christine's pages suggest that she was never part of that balancing act. She was already off the scale, alone, invisible, left to figure it out while the cameras cut away to Robin's glowing engagement. And now, Christine isn't waiting for anyone to knock. She's answering the door herself with a pen in hand and every painful detail finally ready to be told. Behind closed doors at the TLC offices, the nerves are reportedly palpable. Executives who once championed Sister Wives as a groundbreaking show about faith and family are now facing a chilling possibility that Christine's memoir might destroy the very narrative they spent 16 seasons crafting. And it all comes down to one terrifying question: what footage did they bury? Sources say that during the editing of those early seasons, particularly around Truly's birth and Cody's courtship with Robin, several inconvenient moments were flagged by producers and quietly cut from the final broadcast. These weren't just awkward glances or flubbed interviews. We're talking about scenes that, if released now, could turn fan disappointment into outright fury. One insider claims that a full sequence of Cody visiting Robin during Christine's labor was shot but never aired. He was walking in and out of that house like he lived there, the source revealed. Producers were concerned it would make him look cold, distracted, or like he was already abandoning Christine, so they focused the episode on family excitement and skipped the detour entirely. If true, this was not just editing for pacing, this was editing for optics. And with Christine now confirming what fans long suspected, that she was sidelined emotionally and physically during one of the most intimate moments of her life, the network's choices are coming under fresh scrutiny, and it's not just about the labor. Insiders say several crew members remember a heated debate over whether to include Cody's changing clothes excuse, with one editor reportedly arguing that it didn't make sense in the timeline and made Christine look confused or forgotten. The decision was made to soften it, to paint Cody as a flustered but loving dad rather than a man deeply entangled in a secret romance. One former field producer, speaking under condition of anonymity, even claimed there was a standing order for a while: don't make Cody look bad unless it benefits the family unity storyline. Now that storyline is unraveling. Christine's memoir doesn't just tell her truth, it threatens the brand. That's not speculation, it's coming straight from industry chatter. There are rumors of emergency strategy meetings at TLC, with some higher-ups questioning whether they should lean into the chaos or begin distancing the show from Cody altogether. They can't afford a full-blown scandal, one insider explained, but they also can't pretend fans didn't see that Instagram video or read those leaked pages. The toothpaste is out of the tube. And just when it seems like things can't get more tense, another twist emerges. Christine's team is reportedly planning a major press tour right as the new season airs. That means while TLC tries to promote another batch of staged family dinners and forced smiles, Christine could be on national TV, reading aloud the very paragraphs that expose it all. Paragraphs about betrayal, about lies, about the stories that were never shown. And for TLC, that might be the most dangerous plotline of all, the one they didn't write. The countdown has officially begun. Christine's memoir is slated to hit shelves in just a matter of weeks, and if insiders are right, the ripple effect won't stop at the Brown family's front door. Cody, Robin, TLC, all of them are on the line. Because this book doesn't read like a tabloid swipe or a passive-aggressive diary, it reads like a final verdict, a closing statement after years of silence. And with Christine no longer bound by the camera's lens or a contractual gag order, she's finally delivering the one story no one else dared to tell. The one where polygamy isn't romantic, it's rigged. Multiple sources close to Christine say the final chapters pack the biggest punches. She allegedly addresses the emotional whiplash of competing for one man's attention, the gut-deep ache of watching your child feel unseen, and the sobering realization that love in her marriage was never evenly distributed. And then comes the mic drop, a section where she outlines how much money TLC made off their family's dysfunction, while she struggled to afford therapy and groceries during her first months as a single mom. "They filmed my breaking point," she allegedly writes, "but they didn't help me pick up the pieces. And now, those pieces have been reassembled into a book that might just become the blueprint for how reality stars take their power back." Early pre-orders are already trending upward, and there are whispers that major talk shows from daytime favorites to primetime specials are lining up to book Christine for launch week. Fans are planning group reads, Instagram live reactions, and even petitions for her to get her own spin-off show. Meanwhile, Cody's circle, once bulletproof with TLC backing, is reportedly fracturing from the inside. Rumor has it, even some of his kids have privately sided with Christine. As for Kody, sources say he's scrambling. Behind the scenes, he's allegedly asked producers to give him more airtime next season, hoping to explain his side and balance the narrative. But it may be too late. The audience, especially longtime viewers, have watched this story unfold over 16 years. They remember the clipped hugs, the missed birthdays, the way Christine's voice seemed to shrink whenever Robin walked in the room. They don't need new footage. They needed the truth, and Christine is finally handing it over. So where does that leave the sister wives' legacy? That's the question producers, fans, and even Christine herself are now facing. Will the show limp forward under the weight of its own unraveling myth? Or will this book become the match that burns the old story down entirely? One thing is certain, the days of smiling through silent suffering are over. Christine isn't asking for sympathy, she's demanding accountability. And now we turn it over to you. Do you believe TLC knowingly hid key moments to protect Cody's image? And should Christine's revelations mark the end of Sister Wives as we know it? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video on your screen is waiting. And trust me, this story is far from over.